It's so funny. And we're live. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Disney Movie Review. I like to kind of stretch that out a little bit to make sure everybody understands. We are going to have a fantastic time tonight, and we thought we'd get someone who has a little bit better knowledge than Dan and I to help us tonight with none other than Tinkerbell the Movie. And we're going to dive right in just a little bit. But before we do that, first and foremost, I want to welcome our very special guest, who is actually, if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, on stream for the first time. Am I correct?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. And this is Courtney Rainwaters from the Rainwaters family. Courtney, thank you for
Hello, everybody.
We are so honored and thankful that you're here tonight. We're going to have a really great time. It's going to be a ton of fun. Tell us a little bit about you, if you don't mind, whatever you're comfortable with. Obviously, you're with Tim and Paula, right? Our mom and dad?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's awesome.
And then my sister, Keely. I am currently 17 years old, a junior in high school, working towards a biology degree. So.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
Good for you. Good for you. Any idea for college?
I'm going to WKU, and then hopefully after that, go to work at Kilimanjaro Safaris and Animal Kingdom.
Nice. Is that Western Kentucky? Can I say that?
Yes, Western Kentucky University.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. WKU. Very good. Very good. Well, we're so honored and thankful and very happy that you're here. So thank you for being here.
We are not worthy. We are.
No, not at all.
I think we've got to clarify that people in the chat that the Rainwaters family go down in Disney YouTube history. They have been here for such a long time. Supporters of everybody. So for us, for Walt and I to have Courtney to make her debut on stream is really special for us and really something special for you guys in the chat. So we want to make her feel welcome. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about the Tinkerbell movie. So it's going to be really a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it.
We are. We definitely are. A couple things I want to go over real fast before we get started. Obviously, the Dean over at the Live Place. Check out Dean. He's fantastic. He's a great supporter of this community. It's theliveplace.com. Check him out. He is the TV guide of YouTubers. So if you're looking for a stream, certain day of the week, certain person, certain channel, certain time, go to theliveplace.com for sure. I have two partner channels. One of them is right over here. This guy, Disney Dan. Dan goes live all the time. Saturdays with Disney Fiasco, right here on Sundays. He's also got the Disney Nuts Show, and Disney Food Fridays are coming back, right?
They are coming back this Friday. This Friday,
Yeah.
It is coming back. Disney Food Fridays. I'm excited. And then we've got a lot of good stuff coming up. So Disney Fiasco is my main show. And then obviously we got here for Disney Movie Review, Disney Nuts with Gonzo, The Adventures of Gonzo, and a few other things thrown in there too.
Yep, for sure. My other partner channel is Steve's World. Steve goes live on Monday nights with Just Another Monday Night and Wednesdays with the Disney crew. And then once a month, him and I will kind of battle it out with our Disney Double Take, which will be coming up again on the 21st of this month as Steve and I battle and discuss and debate Fast Pass. Yes or no for Fast Pass. It's going to be a good time. But let me say hi to a few people in the chat real fast, and then we are going to review the Tinkerbell movie. Hannah Johnson is here. Timothy Rainwaters. Donna Anderson Folin is here. Gene is here. There's Timothy Rainwaters.
There he is.
In the house. Let's see who else is here. Heather Springer's here. Heather, good to have you here. Thanks for being here. We also have Paula Rainwaters is also in the chat. That's fantastic. Hannah Johnson, Richard Bodner is here. We also have Super Disney family. Welcome in, Nick and Shayna. Good to have you here. Disney Dan's here. Wow. James Ryan, the man, is here. There's Kelly, the Mickey Bunch. We also have Shiny Prismas in the house. Hannah Waghorn is here.
Hey, Hannah.
How are you, Hannah? Good to see you. Movie Mania Nick is in the house. Melissa, Mouse Talk. Wow, she's a really nice lady. I've met her.
Me too.
Yeah, she's a nice lady. BDF.
I'm hoping to meet her.
Yeah, I know. She's even nicer in person. Wow, she's all right. I can say that. It's been 25 years. Joy S, welcome in. And I think we're up to date. No, Debbie Bernfeld is here. Let's see who else.
I saw Keely in the chat. So
is Kaylee here?
We got all of them in.
Kaylee, I missed her. I'm sorry. I apologize. Alex, the filmmaker, is here as well. Kaylee, my apologies, dear. There's Courtney. Courtney saying hi to everybody. Oh, there's Kaylee. Yeah, I see her now. Happy Valentine's Day. She's saying it right there. Sarah E. Cruz is here. Carlos Disney World Freak
What's
is
up,
in the
Carlos?
house. Chris Flemmer. What's up, Chris? Good to see you, buddy. And Paul Angle, another Maryland guy, is in the house as well. Thank you all for being here. So let's get started.
And can I say hi to Gregory? Because he can't type in the rest of the Springers family.
Oh, Greg, that's right. Hey, Gregory. Thanks, buddy. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you as well. All right. The Tinkerbell movie.
I'll tell you what, Walt. We needed backup for this one, and we definitely brought the best person for this. So it's going to be a really interesting review. Look, Walt and I have already reviewed films like the Lizzie McGuire movie, but I think that we needed really a true proper fan of the franchise. And I'm glad you said that, because it is a franchise. It actually is. Now, this luckily is the first of the franchise movie. It came out in 2008, and what's really neat about this movie is, from the very beginning, it tells us how Tinkerbell was born, created, what have you. It was that, I will say, was really neat to see where her origin with that. Yeah. Courtney, what did you think of that, and finding out how she became to be who she is?
I think it was amazing to see how all the different fairies started out and her journey to Neverland as well.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what this is. First off, a few other people have jumped in real fast. Let me say hi to Emily Rose is here. Candy Tink is here. There's Greg Springer. He's in here. And I think that's it that came in. I didn't want to miss anybody. But let's kind of touch on the very beginning of the movie, because the very beginning of the movie, it kind of explains kind of how fairies are born.
Yep.
And they're born from, and please, Courtney, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, they're born from laughter from children, correct?
From a baby's laugh, yes.
Yes, exactly. From a baby's laugh. And that's how we kind of get this whole story started with Tinkerbell. A baby somewhere in the mainland, as they call it, laughs, and off goes this, I don't even know what you want to call it.
I'm trying to think what those plants are called. It's the ones that have the little white around it, and if you blow it, I forgot what those are called.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about, too. I don't know what they're called. Anybody in the chat?
I'll tell you what, fairy production must be at all-time high with Monsters, Inc. turning from scares to laughter. So I don't know. It must be quite. I was thinking that weirdly when the baby was laughing and creating Tinkerbell. I was just thinking, well, Monsters, Inc. went from scares to laughter, and I was just thinking of a weird crossover.
Well, but here's the thing. Monsters, Inc. is more for older kids, I'd say between the ages of 5 to 10.
Yeah.
Not infants, so to speak, that are still kind of in the cradle. So, I would not want a monster scaring an infant. But, so, Tinkerbell is born, which is really neat, and she kind of has to adjust to the world. And I really thought it was neat how they kind of answered some questions about her. One of the first things we learn is her outfit, because she doesn't look like the Tinkerbell we're used to seeing from Peter Pan with her hair and her outfit. She looks different. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, I think it's a good start to show how she evolved since she got to Pixie Hollow.
Yeah,
agreed.
What I really like is I agree with that as well, and the fact that her image sort of depends on what kind of fairy she will become. And that's kind of what sort of the story is all about. What kind of fairy does sort of different things, because the world is run and created and involved using different fairy attributes. Different fairies do different things, which I think is quite a clever way of distinguishing different fairies. I think that's quite a really interesting premise to that. Mm-hmm. And then we end up sort of this scene where Tinkerbell becomes Thor and picks up this hammer. But
with any and all fairies, kind of like Dan said, I'll kind of expand on that a little bit. You have to kind of almost think Harry Potter. Here we go. See, we're connecting movies.
There we go.
The sorting hat puts you in a certain in a certain what's that called? House. Well, same here. A certain item is going to decide what you are, whether you're going to be one of the ones that helps with winter, summer, spring, and fall, or whether you're going to be a tinker.
And can I go back a little bit? I
Yes.
love how they put pixie dust on the dandelion and the fairies are born. So
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's a good point, because what's one of the big things about Tinkerbell is her pixie dust. You're exactly right.
Tying in those informations that we get from the film, like Peter Pan, which is probably my favorite film ever made, and it sort of gives us a little bit more about sort of the backstory of Tinkerbell and what is pixie dust, why is she wearing her green outfit, why is she doing the things that she's doing. And I like that so we get a bit more explanation here.
Right. Brian, NASCAR fan 22, welcome in as well. So ultimately she goes around and a couple of different things that don't pick her. Ultimately it's not a match for her, but then all of a sudden she goes past the hammer because she's like, I don't want that one. Kind of, that's how I took it was. She's like, I'll come back to that one. I'd rather that one be last. But it kind of picks her.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree? It kind of picks her.
The wand picks the wizard, Mr. Potter.
And like once it picks her, like all the different fairies talk about they've never seen it shine that bright before.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And she's not overly happy at the fact that it was the tinker, because that's basically what she's going to be, is a tinker now, is what chose her. And let's kind of expunge on that, or expand from there, about her kind of battle with being a tinker, because that's not ultimately what she wanted. But before that, real fast, Brent Patterson, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. And Mike, Chasing Dreams with Mike. Good to see you, pal. Hope you're doing well as well. So Courtney, let's talk about that. She's not really happy about being a tinker. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, she was going around. She got made friends from each of the different types of fairies, and she was trying to go through and find if she could change her talent. And it's never been done before.
Right. And there are different types of fairies. There's the light fairy. There's the, if I'm not mistaken, the
water fairy.
The water, the wind. There's different ones. And she tries.
Animals.
She tries to see if maybe she can become one of them. And it's a neat little comedy part of the movie, which is fun because they do go out and try to help her to maybe become one of them. And it doesn't go well for her.
But the reason why she does that is because she wants to go to... She wants to leave Neverland, right? She wants to go to the outside sort of world.
The mainland.
The mainland, right?
I think it's called the mainland.
And the Tinkers aren't, allowed to go to the mainland. So the reason why she wants to become a water fairy or an animal fairy or whatever is because she wants to go to the mainland because she's so intrigued by the objects that she finds, those lost things, which I think is, which I actually really liked. I like the fact they called these things lost things, because it sort of pays a bit of homage to the Lost Boys, things that you may have lost when you were a child, or you had that toy that you may have lost, or you may have lost like $1 bills. I don't know. It's just things that you've lost that sort of. I just like that sort of connection there.
I agree, and part of it for me was some of the things she lost are normal things that we know. She lost one of them was considered it was a screw. One of them was a coin. One of them was like a spring. It was things that for us would be like, oh, that's just a normal thing. But to them, she was fascinated by them. And I kind of like that too, Courtney. What about you? Did you like that?
Yeah, I love the part. And then she brings all of that back to the workshop because she's intrigued and she wants to make something with it. But Fairy Mary says we don't need this junk, and she takes it from her. So
exactly.
Her two sidekick buddies, the Irish sounding
Clank and Bubble.
Heck, I couldn't remember their names. They're actually really funny in this.
Clank's the bigger one, and then Bubble's the Irish one.
Right, which makes sense because he's got the two bubbles in his
Bubbles.
eyes.
Bubbles and he has a really strong Irish accent. Now, I think you can only really notice it because obviously I live amongst people who live near Ireland. You notice that his Irish accent is very out there. Like it's a bit too Irish.
I was going to say, but is it authentic, Dan? Would you say?
No,
or
no, I don't think it is. I think if
Okay.
you live like in the heart of Ireland, then quite possibly. But yeah, it's a big stereotype there.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Maybe it found me a little bit not annoying, but just a bit sort of like, yeah, that's not a proper Irish accent.
And it could have been how the person wanted to take that character as well. So
could be.
Yeah. I like the characters though. I like those two. They were fun characters. They were good side characters to have that sort of reflected Tinkerbell, and I really like the fact that they almost felt they loved their position. They loved being Tinkers, which was really great. Yeah, and I love that. I love the fact they were so passionate about something that they loved, and then obviously that came to sort of attention to Tinkerbell sort of later on. So yeah, I liked it.
I would look at both of them almost like her sidekicks. They were like her wingmans the whole movie.
That's a good pun there. They're wingmans.
Very good.
Wing men, because they're men and they have wings.
Yeah,
I didn't actually intend it to be a pun.
There you go.
That's really good, though.
That was a great pun. I love it.
Awesome. That's awesome. Kay Atwood, welcome in. Thanks for being here, Kay. Always good to see you, dear. So she goes around to several different fairies because she wants to try to be like them, whether it's wind or whether it's water or whether it's light. It doesn't go well for her. So finally she goes to the one... I don't even know what you want. Her name is Vidya. Right, exactly. And Vidya is very fast. I don't know if she's wind or what she is, but she's extremely fast.
She's a fast flying fairy.
Right. So she goes to Vidya, who Vidya is not a big fan of Tink. She's not a big fan of Tinkerbell. She doesn't like her. I actually think there's borderline a little bit of jealousy there, too. I felt that way when I was watching it. But she goes to Vidya, and Vidya's underhanded about this, but she's like, sure, I'll help you. She doesn't really want to help her. And she kind of takes her out to do this one task, which was really kind of an impossible task. That's how I saw it. We knew she wasn't really ultimately going to succeed at this.
No.
But she tried it anyway, and it actually looked like at first like she was going to succeed because she did round up the first two, and then Vidya kind of
let him out,
and then that's when, and we're kind of really moving quick in this movie, and we can jump back if we have to. I have no problem with that.
Like jumping back, I don't know if y'all remember that part where she fixes the whole music box, because that's a big part of the movie as well.
Oh, that's the biggest part. I agree. You're right. You're 100% correct. And let's kind of jump on it, but I don't want to give it away until we get near the end. But you're right. During the time when she's not very happy, she kind of goes off. She's already found some lost items, but she found some more, and it just so happens to be that it's a music box. She finds one piece, she finds another piece, she finds another piece, and then she finds the big piece, which is like the ballerina. And she takes and puts that on top of it, and ultimately she fixes this music box. And it's really, really neat. And the other fairies come around her and say, look, see what you did? Wait, nobody else could do that. You did that. You fixed this. And it is an important part because that music box is going to come into play a little bit later. Yeah. But you're right. It just solidifies how much of a great tinker she really is.
And I feel like she didn't realize that. I think one of the things I really enjoyed about was going to all the different other fairies trying to do those different tasks. I really enjoyed how she kept failing doing the water task and doing all that kind of stuff. But I think her talent was something that she didn't really understand. And when she built on that, and pardon the pun, built on it and created something that the other fairies just couldn't do. And it was something that was uniquely... that Tinkerbell can do, and she building that music box I think sort of opened her eyes to what she is capable of doing.
Right. Now she still wasn't on board with being a tinker though, because she still ultimately wanted to try to be like the other fairies.
And I think at that point when she built it, she kind of knew but she still was upset and she didn't want to do that at all. And so she goes to Clank and Bubble and she gets frustrated at them and says, I don't want to be a tinker, basically. And it hurts their feelings.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's
right. Yeah. Because that's what they are. And made them
proud
feel
of
like,
it.
yeah. And they were proud of it. I agree 100%. They were very proud of it. But she made it seem like it was a bad thing to be a tinker, or that they were below others because they were tinkers, and yet they really actually have an extremely important role, maybe the most important role, and that's gathering everything for the upcoming spring that was coming. Because I don't even know that we ultimately discussed this, and Courtney, I want you to expand on this if you could. The fairies are what help to change the seasons.
Yes, that's correct.
The fairies are, at least in this story, they are the seasons. They are the ones that make winter, spring, summer, and fall. They are the ones that create the snow, create the flowers, create the rain and different things like that, the wind that's needed to make these seasons happen. Different fairies are important to different seasons. Well, the big season that's coming up for this movie is spring, and spring is kind of the one that starts it all. And that's what they're preparing for at this time is spring. Because we never really discussed that, and I want to make sure everybody understands that point. Does that sound correct? Did I say that right? Okay.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Barb, welcome in, Faith, Hope, and Disney. But Courtney, I want to ask you. So she does go to see Vidya, and Vidya asks her to collect, I think Melissa said it in the chat, the thistles.
Yes. She goes she goes and she's upset. And she's because Rosetta's not going to let her teach her how to be a garden fairy because she's failed all the other times. And so Vidya thinks it's a good idea to go to Tinkerbell and say, well, I can help you be a garden fairy. All you have to do is round up all these thistles. Exactly.
But the thistles, rounding them up is a lot easier said than done. Dan, what about that scene when she tries to round up the thistles? Hi, Anthony, the Molar Man. Welcome in, buddy.
It almost felt like Tinkerbell was being sort of desperate to do whatever she can to fit into another fairy group so that she can go to the mainland. So taking on this task was like, right, you can almost get that impression that she didn't really want to do it, but she sort of had to do it and sort of do it the best she could so that she could be part of that group of fairies so that she can go to the mainland. And it was definitely I quite liked Vidya's not that she was a villain. I think we go back to her jealousy and that she did sabotage the what happened, and I think that was a good sort of thing that they could have, which they did, and I think it was quite clever. But it was more of an, I think the film needed a bit of action. And I think this is where we got it. It was a bit sort of putting it into the next gear. That's what I see that scene as. It's giving us a bit more excitement, some action, something's going to happen. So yeah, I like that scene a lot.
Yeah, and the thistles come around and hit Vidya back at the end of the movie.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah,
it's karma.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Well, and during this whole thing, when she's trying to round them up, because we kind of touched on this. She looks like she's ultimately going to possibly be successful at it, and then Vidya kind of sabotages her even further and lets the two that she originally had captured out. And then at that point, Tink kind of loses control. What she thought was 6 or 7 turns out to be a ton of them. And it leads them, or they kind of go off the rails, so to speak. They kind of go wild and uncontrollable, and they head where, Courtney? Where do they head?
They head back to her little corral area, but there's so many of them they trample it, and then they head to the main part where they're getting ready for spring.
Correct.
It reminds me a huge amount of A Bug's Life when they got rid of all the harvest food. That they collaborated and got ready for Hopper and his gang, and it all got destroyed. Flick caused a lot of destruction there. It reminded me a lot of A Bug's Life, that sort of destruction and sort of an unfortunate event that destroyed a lot of hard work. So yeah, I really thought there's a lot of connections here.
Well, yeah, it was a big part of the movie because ultimately everything that they had prepared, every fairy has a certain role that they have to do to prepare for spring or summer or fall or winter. And that's what they were doing. And everything that they're preparing over all this time is what's needed for spring to happen. Well, when the thistles go through, they destroy all this hard work that they've been doing for months.
Yeah.
During winter to prepare for spring. It's now all destroyed. And the queen fairy comes down and asks Courtney, you might know, what's the name of the tinker, the main tinker that kind of keeps track of all the, do you remember her name?
Fairy Mary. And
Fairy Mary.
The queen is Queen Clarion.
Thank you, Queen Clarion. By the way, Queen Clarion is voiced by Angelica Houston, if you all know who that is.
Really?
It is. It's Angelica. I'm looking it up right now. Angelica Houston is Queen Clarion.
When I was watching it, like a few of the voices, when I was watching a couple of the other ones too, because I was like, we're watching these, I need to watch a couple of the others. Like voices from my childhood especially were voicing different fairies.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll go over a couple of those with you. Dad Builds, welcome on, Chris. Good to see you.
Hey, Chris.
Raven Simone is one of the voices. Kristen Chenoweth is one of the voices. Lucy Liu is one of the voices. America Ferrara is one of the voices. They've got some people in here that we know. Pamela Adlon, I know who that is. She was in a couple other shows. So there are definitely some people that we know that voiced these characters. And the main tank is by a young lady by the name of Mae Whitman. She's done different roles. Right. If you looked her up, you probably know. She does a lot of voice acting. I saw her in The Duff. Did you ever see The Duff?
I didn't see The Duff.
That's an old one. Either.
Is that like Duff Beer from Simpsons?
No. Well, no, not at all. Welcome in Disney Trash Can.
Hey,
good to have you here, Push. I always call him Push. That's what I call him. But all right. So ultimately, you're right. Fairy Mary is asked by the Queen. Okay. Yes, it's destroyed, but do we have enough time to recuperate from this? And Courtney, what does Fairy Mary tell her?
She has like her little board where she can do the numbers, and she said it's impossible. Correct.
And it looks like spring's not going to happen at this point. And she actually kind of goes, the Queen goes to everybody and says, we're not going to have spring this year. And, everybody's down and out. And that's when Tinkerbell, Dan or Courtney, I want you to touch on this. She has all these trinkets, all these lost items. And she comes up with a really good idea. And this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. It's not my favorite part. I'll get to that when we're at the end, but I like this part. What does she do with all these lost items that she has from the mainland? Courtney, I'll let you and Dan both kind of touch on this.
Well, she lets her ideas, because at the beginning of the movie, I'm kind of going back at the beginning of the movie, a couple of those gadgets were already made, but they weren't fully working because I don't think she was really confident in herself at that point. But when she realized what happened and she needed to fix what happened, she decided to finally accept her gift, and she looked at all of them and said, hey, go get all these lost things, we'll make it work.
Yeah,
and she does. And what she basically does is, go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, it's almost like use what you have and make the most out of it. And that's pretty much what Tinkerbell was saying. Yeah, it may be an impossible task, but we have sort of these lost things that can definitely benefit us from making things speed up. And this could possibly work. And maybe Tink is thinking in that sort of different way than all the other fairies were. Remember at the beginning of the film, the brightness of that hammer was shining the strongest out of everybody.
Right. Take care, Chris.
Think about it. See you, Chris. So clearly she's someone special, someone who maybe can think outside the box and solve this problem that Tinkerbell was suggesting to sort of the royal fairies. So it can work. So
I agree. Captain Akron, welcome in. Good to have you here. And Ray J, welcome in.
You kind of heard like about Fairy Mary, how she said in the movie that she saw the music box, but she didn't know how to put it together, and she's the head of the Tinker Fairies. So
agree. So what basically Tinkerbell did was she created mechanisms, items that would help all of the fairies be more efficient. Really, to be more efficient.
Pretty
what
much.
took 5 days, they could do in 5 minutes now. She made them more efficient, whether it was the really cute painting of the ladybugs or the different things that they did. I thought that was really neat. She created these different items to help them be more efficient, to help them get done what took months to do. Now maybe only took them some weeks to do.
Yep.
And then from there, they were hopefully still going to be able to get everything done in time for spring. I thought that was really neat.
They were able to do it in one night, which was amazing. Compared, they had to take the summer, fall, and winter terms to get everything done for spring, but they did it all in one night. I
agree. And it was really a neat time because as you're seeing each and every one of the things that they're trying to create again, it was really neat to see how she created this mechanism to help them from how they used to do it to now how they're doing it. And you would see Fairy Mary checking each one off that they needed to get done. And I thought that was really, really neat that they did that. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that a lot. What's up, Craig's Robotics? Welcome
in. Craig's Robotics. I think Isaac Nail's here as well.
Is he? Isaac, what's up, buddy? I didn't see him. What's up, Isaac? Welcome in, buddy. Sir Isaac, as I call him.
Sir Isaac.
Kaylee says, in a way, instead of the fairies with individual talents working separately, all the fairies were able to come together and work as a team and bring all their talents together. Agreed.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Amen.
And kind of like when Tinkerbell made those things, like for the ladybugs, for example, she was being kind of an animal fairy at that point.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. I think parts of each one of those fairies kind of helped her with different aspects that she was trying to get done. I agree. Christine Hickman, welcome in. Good to have you here. So at that point, they actually do accomplish their goal. They are able to get everything back in time for spring. I thought that was really kind of neat. I kind of knew we were going to get there. There are certain, obviously, aspects of it that are just, you see it coming a mile away. But I do like the fact, hey, Simba, welcome in, Matt. Good to have you here, pal.
Hey, Matt.
I do like the fact that they did make it. But then, Courtney, I want you to touch on the fact they bring out the music box to Tinkerbell and kind of explain, and Dan, you can touch on this too, please. Why did they do that?
Can I just say, I love how they did the flower to show like it was time to take all the stuff to the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, yes, the main flower, right? That the first flower blooming for spring. I agree 100%. Yes, love that part.
And then I love how I guess all her friends told Fairy Mary about the music box that she created, and they bring it out to Tinkerbell and they say, well, a little girl is missing this and you'll know who to give it to.
Right, because at first she's like, how am I going to know who to give this to? This could be anybody. And the Queen's like, you'll know. So I thought, what did you think of that part, Dan?
I think it's a very, it's a sentimental moment. I think, I mean, as a big Peter Pan fan, I kind of predicted who that little girl would be, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I love that. I love the fact that they use that object, that device for Tinkerbell, for building something for a purpose, for somebody that's lost something really special. Yeah. And you know, saying that little girl is looking for this music box is something really quite special, I think, because you know we've all lost things. You know, we've all lost things, whether it's whatever, and having that sort of story that Tinkerbell or a fairy is going to bring that back to you. I think it's quite a touching moment for viewers of this film.
I agree. Joey's World, welcome in.
Hey, Joey's
World right there. Courtney.
Imagine if that was just Tinkerbell's job to go and find lost things and then go to the mainland each season and return.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's kind of how I took it. It was that it wasn't just going to be this one time. Now, obviously, her story changes down the road with the movies, Peter Pan and all. But that's how I took it was that she was going to be this person or this fairy that would be bringing lost things back to children around the world. I don't know. I haven't seen the other one, so I don't know how this moves forward. But ultimately, that's what they do with her is they allow her to go to the mainland with the other fairies. And then I really like this part too. When they do go to the mainland, you see each of them spraying their different areas, planting the seeds, letting the ladybugs out. And then you see winter start to change to spring. I like that part. What about you two?
Yeah,
that's my favorite part. And then we've got Tinkerbell just sitting there, just waiting for her turn. And then finally it gets to her.
Agreed. Yep. And finally we do hit spring and you see everything change over and everything looks beautiful. And the music, by the way, during that part, from the transition to winter to spring, I really like that too.
I do want to mention that the music is actually very good in this film.
Yes.
I really like the music in this film. From the moment we started hearing the song from the beginning to where we came to the end, I think the music score actually is pretty good. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think James is right. He says, I also think her trip to the mainland opened the door. Before Tinkerbell, none of the Tinkers went to the mainland. I agree. I think this is the one that maybe opened the door for other Tinkers to possibly go to the mainland in the future. I agree. Carol Carkey, welcome in.
Hey, Carol.
She says, hi, Walt, Dan, and Courtney. Great to see you on screen, Courtney. That's awesome. So you're right. We finally get to the point where Tink's kind of going around and she's trying to find where this music box belongs. And she finally does find the
darling
where it belongs. And Courtney, where does she drop it off? Where does it belong?
Wendy, darling.
Ugh.
Exactly. And it's Wendy when she's little. She's probably, 5 or 6 at this point?
Yeah.
This is before John and Michael were around.
For sure. This is before Peter Pan. For me, it's my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry. It's the part that really, I needed it to tie to Peter Pan somehow. And it was really apropos. I'm glad they did it the way they did it.
And I agree with you. I like the fact that it wasn't so. I like the fact that the film wasn't so in your face about Peter Pan. It needed to have that sort of connection, which I really liked. But I didn't want Peter Pan to show up in the first 10 minutes of the film. I didn't want that. I wanted sort of, that little moment.
He shouldn't
it's
be.
It's not.
Yeah.
And having Tink go to Wendy Darling just for a second just did it for me. I think that was done so well. And I would even just watch the film just for that scene. It's really a good moment.
I kind of think it's a hint towards Peter Pan. They still have yet to make a movie where how Tinkerbell met Peter Pan, which I think they should do.
I agree.
Don't you find it funny, though? Don't you find it funny that Tinkerbell returns the music box to Wendy,
and she's not a big fan of Wendy,
and then Tink gets so jealous of Wendy later on.
Yeah, right.
I think maybe she should go get the music box and look at Tinkerbell. Well, here, you fix this for me. So
she should be like, "Hey, yo, I fixed your music box. Now you're taking my man."
Step back, right? Kaylee makes a good point. I like Kaylee's point. She says he makes him wonder how the music box ended up in Pixie Hollow in the first place.
Right.
Good point. I agree. And then Sophie says, Sophie B, welcome in, by the way, says the reason I watched the movies in the first place was because my little brother was obsessed with Tinkerbell and the Pirate Fairy.
Nice.
We watched it about once a week when he was 5. That's awesome. That's a lot of fun. And yes, Kaylee, it does. It brings the story full circle. I agree 100%. Welcoming, Kat. Good to have you here. Perfectly, Kat. Well, again, I was really happy with the ending of the movie. I loved the music. I love the and I want to ask you first, Courtney, what do you think of the overall cinematography, the animation of this movie? Because this was 13 years ago now. This wasn't just last year.
I honestly think compared to some of the more recent movies, it's not that bad compared to them. Like, of course, like the Pixar ones, like Raya's coming out. Raya's a little bit better with the graphics, of course, since it's later on, but I still think it's up there, even after 13 years.
Dan?
I think it's interesting. I was thinking about this while we were discussing that this film came out in 2008. And at the time, Disney hadn't gone through their sort of new renaissance of films. It was literally a year before The Princess and the Frog came out, and that kicked off, the Tangled, the Frozen. Disney were looking for a new franchise, and you could tell that this film, Tinkerbell, And the fairies brand that Disney were trying to push this brand, and you can see that at the Flower and Garden Festival. You can see that they were plans of creating
a Pixie Hollow.
A Pixie Hollow. You know, they did create sort of a set to meet Tinkerbell in Disneyland, and you could have a small one in Magic Kingdom. They were really trying to push this out a lot, and I don't think that it was as successful as I think they thought it was going to be. But if you look at the film now, just look at the film alone, I think it does hold up. I think it's definitely has a key audience. But I think because it did come out in 2008, just before your Tianas, your Rapunzels, your Annas and Elsas, like it gets pushed back, I think, a lot by a lot of the really, really young girls out there who, you know, grew up with these newer stories. But you know what? I think this film, the animation actually is good for its time, and I think it was created by Disney Toons, so it wasn't even Disney Animation that created it; it was Disney Toons, and they're the brand that created Planes, you know, the ripoff of Cars,
right? So
their animation, you know what? I think they did a good job. I think they really did.
Agreed. A couple things I wanted in the chat. Heather says, I like the entire storyline of not trying to be someone you're not. Do what you were gifted to do because the world needs your particular gift. I agree 100%. That's a good point. And Kaylee makes a good point. It's part of what I'm going to say on the cinematography and the animation. That's what I thought. She took the words right out of my mouth. To me, it felt like a Pixar movie. It had a Pixar feel to it. The animation is really clear. It's very colorful throughout, very engaging in that respect. I really enjoyed the animated side of this film a lot. I thought it was done really, really well. Love the colors throughout. It was dark where it needed to be dark. It was light where it needed to be light. It transitioned well. I really enjoyed that part of it.
Put James Ryan's comment up. Put it up. Put James. You see, this is the point of this show. When the film got picked, I groaned, but watched it because it was a fun show. Boy, was I wrong. I enjoyed the film. Positive. This is what we're talking about, the Disney movie review. This is the kind of thing that we're talking about. The films that you would never in a million years think about watching. You watch it, and you never know what you might come to a conclusion of. And I love that comment, James. And I'm so glad that you watched it with us this week, and whoever else did. That's fantastic. So please, guys, when we pick the movie, please go out and watch it because it's so fun to talk about with you guys. Yeah,
I agree. Now, Courtney, I'm sorry, Courtney. How many times have you seen this film? How many times would you say you've seen Tinkerbell Movie?
Over 10.
Okay,
love it.
All right, gotcha. Dan,
this is my second time.
This was my first time. So, see, that's why we brought you on, because we knew you'd be the expert in this one.
And can I just say, all the Tinkerbells lead up, and they each get better and better after it. So if you like the first one, you'll like the second and the third, on and on.
Nice. Okay. All right. We're going to see. I'm sure they're going to come out of that box at some point. But now we are to the point where, and we'll kind of go counterclockwise this time, that way. I want Courtney to go first. Courtney, I want you to tell me your favorite part of the movie, your favorite character in the movie, and then your overall, and then your letter grade, if you don't mind.
I love the part where Tinkerbell goes and she tries to be an animal fairy, and she goes up to the little bird's nest. Oh. And then there's a little bird, and Fawn looks at her and says, just get this little bird to fly. It'll be okay. And she goes with the other two birds, and like you see it from the bird's perspective, and it's like she's in his face. And I love how he starts to try to put
love that scene.
He tries to get back in the shell.
Yes.
Yeah, that part's funny. That's actually the funniest part of the movie.
She goes up to the hawk, and she's like, "Oh, I think he can help."
Yes,
I love that scene. I love it.
Do you have a favorite character?
Fawn's my favorite.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
And then your overall feel for the movie, and then your letter grade.
It's a great movie. I grew up with it. I think it was like almost like a turn of the century. Great graphics for the time. It was really spent a lot of time on, I think, and it was a good movie that brought Tinkerbell to light and her adventures with her friends, and I would give it an A+ for that.
Wow, look at you. Look at you. That's
Nice.
fantastic.
Love it.
Awesome. Now, before we get to Dan and I do want to say, everybody in the chat, we say this every week, we want your letter grades too. So anybody that's in the chat, give us your letter grade. You can tell us why you gave the grade as well, but let us know what it is, and we're going to go over those letter grades in just a minute. But
and also, if you haven't seen the movie, please go see it. It really is worth your time and worth watching. It is a really lovely film. For me, this was a tough one. In terms of my favorite scene, it has to be giving the music box to Wendy. As loving the Peter Pan as much as I do, having that connection between Tinkerbell and Wendy is something really special. Again, Tinkerbell is probably my favorite character. I think this film is on Tinkerbell's shoulders, and I think she really shines in this film. In terms of the film itself, look, I think we can all be honest. It's not a Citizen Kane film. It's not, it's definitely has its target audience, and I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it more this time than I did the first time I watched it years ago, and I feel like it's one of those films that I'll watch, in a few years, maybe down the line. It's quite hard to judge this one. I'm going to give it a C- for me. I'm giving it a C- because I feel like there are better films out there for me and for my taste, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the movie. I think the animation is definitely something that really shines in this, and I think the music shines as well. I just think some of the, it's how can I put this? I think there's a difference between a kids film and a family film, and I think this is sort of in the middle, and that's where I see it. So I'm going to give it a C-, but that doesn't mean I hate the movie at all. I actually really did enjoy it.
Very good, very good. So for me, favorite part of the movie is the end, when Wendy gets the music box. I really like the tie-in to Peter Pan itself. Funniest part of the movie is, Courtney, you said it. When the bird tried to get back in the shell. I was laughing so hard at that. It was really funny. My favorite character is easily Tinkerbell. She is the entire movie. She really is. I really enjoy her character for sure in this. She's fantastic. For me, overall, our animation is very good. The story is very good. The people that they got to do the voicing is done really, really well. I love the music in this movie. I went into this expecting to give it a D. I'm going to give it a C+. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to. And that's why it gets a C+ for me. I'll admit the ending really kind of pushed it to a C+. I probably was going to give it a C- like Dan. The ending really saved it for me. It went where I was hoping it was going to go. And I liked it. I enjoyed this a lot more than I expected.
We needed to put in a clip right now of when I pulled it out of the box.
I know. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I enjoyed this much more than I expected to. Will I watch it again? If it's on TV and I scroll by, I'd probably watch, depending upon the scene, certain parts of it, because I'll be honest with you, the beginning was a little slow. It got much better as we went on. Much better as we went on. I was worried at first, but I enjoyed it a lot for me. So I'm going to give it a C+. Cameron Gleason, welcome in. Dan, real fast, if you could, before we wrap up, I want you to do the chat for me.
No problem. So it's Joey's one. Of course, Joey gives it an A quadruple plus. That does not surprise me at all. Kay Atwood gives it an A plus, almost an A. Paula Rain Waters gives it an A quintuple plus. It is a special because our girls loved it so much. Heather Springs gives it an A plus because of the moral and being who you were meant to be. It was a thoughtful movie for me to do some self-reflection. Hannah gives it, having never seen the movie, but based on your comments for the movie review, I'd rank it a B. Maybe this show is a way for me to actually watch Disney movies that I've never seen before. This is the whole point. This is
the point of the show.
This is the point.
Can I just say something about the movie real quick?
Sure.
I think as a child you love it, but when you get to an adult and you watch it for the first time, you can really get the message and understand where it's coming from.
100% agree. 100% agree. Absolutely.
Yep.
Isaac Nail gives it an A+. Oh, I love this. Hold on, where is it? Where did I? Hold on. Disney Trash Can. His scale is depending on trash cans, so he gives it a 3 out of 5 trash cans for.
That's not
for
bad.
Me. I love it. Timothy Rainwaters gives it a solid A. Candy Tink gives it A. Tinkerbell is an enjoyable character. Also, don't try to be something you're not. Absolutely. Christine Hickman gives it a B. Super Disney fan, this is one gets an A. Paul Engel gives it a B. The very good beginning story for Tinkerbell. Cameron Gleason, hello. Melissa gives it a B-. James Ryan, a real surprise for me. I enjoyed it further. I'm going to watch the sequels too. An A for me. Fantastic.
Very
I love
good.
that. I love that.
Hey, Alfred, welcome in, Alfred.
I think Alfred gives it an A+. And I think that's, fantastic. Yeah, really, really amazing.
What's up, producer Preston? Welcome
what's up, Preston, buddy? Good to see you, Preston.
Hope your dad's doing well. And Matt, Simba 2 gives it a B- for sure.
Awesome.
Well, there you go, gang. We are in the books with Tinkerbell the movie. I was worried. Courtney, you saved the day.
You saved the day. I just want to give, I want everybody in the chat to give a big round of applause to Courtney, because I think without you, Courtney, I think we would have been struggling to remember all those details, and it was such a pleasure having you join us for Disney Movie Review.
100% agree.
I appreciate y'all having me.
It's our pleasure. I hope you enjoyed this. I know this is probably your first time on stream, and you did fantastic. You're a natural. We really appreciate you coming on, and most importantly, I know to Dan and I, we hope you had fun and hope you enjoyed this.
I love talking about it, especially when I see y'all talking about these movies. I'm like, oh, I love this movie. This was from my childhood and stuff like that. So,
gotcha. And everybody in the chat is really glad you came on. So this has been fantastic. Thank you again for joining us. This has been awesome for sure. I'm really surprised. I was really happy with the movie for sure. And those are the best ones, because I've given out an F on this show before. I've done it, and I'm sure I'll do it again, but not this time. All right, Dan.
All right, guys.
Point. Here you go, Courtney. You are live for one of the biggest moments.
Okay.
By the way, if we pull another Tinkerbell film, we'll have to book you for next week as well.
Okay. I'm hoping that's fine with me. I'm hoping for Descendants, because when we do that, that's my movie.
Ooh, Descendants. That's a good option there. If you guys don't know, in the chat, every week after our review, we pick next week's film. That's going to be on my channel next week. So come, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, and come join the fun for next week's show. And also, I want to let everybody know that on my channel, I have a playlist of every movie we've reviewed. This is our 27th review. We've done so many great movies. We've done the Guardians of the Galaxies. We've done The Cat from Outer Space. We've done Beauty and the Beast, The Mighty Ducks.
Let me just say, Courtney, you have brought in our biggest amount of people. We have 50 people watching right now.
You see? You see?
You bring the crowd. You go, girl.
Thank you.
Now, Walt, if I poll a movie that you're excited for, you're gonna feel.
Be careful what you pull here.
This could be the last episode. All right, so next week's movie on my channel. Here we go. Ooh, drum roll. All right. Oh, I picked up 2. There we go. I'll put one back.
Just one.
Oh, okay. All right. I think you know what, Walt? I think you're gonna love this. We are gonna be watching. We may have to do like we did with Beauty and the Beast, a old school and a new school version. Okay.
Did you pull Aladdin?
No.
Is it Jungle Book?
No. We are watching. You're gonna like this, Walt. Trust me. We are watching Tron.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna review Tron. And we're going to review Tron Legacy at the same time. So
we're going to do Legacy as well?
We'll do both. We're
going to watch 2 movies this week?
No, we'll just watch the one you haven't watched.
I've seen both, but anyway.
There we go. Choose. So next week we are going to be reviewing Tron, which I'm really excited about. The last two episodes we've been doing a lot about fairies, with Sleeping Beauty, and now this. It's nice to go into sort of the sci-fi world. We are going to be watching. I think we're mainly going to focus on the original Tron, but we will throw in we'll throw in Tron Legacy as well, because there's a lot of great stuff about Tron Legacy as well. So next week on my channel, we are going to be reviewing Tron, and I am very excited. This was fun. This was so much fun.
It was.
That was
Courtney,
again, a long time for me. That was a long time ago when I watched that, so I'll have to refresh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tron's a classic for sure. It takes some getting used to because we'll get into it next week.
We'll get into it.
Well, first, again, one more time, Courtney, thank you for joining us. We really hope you enjoyed this. It's been our pleasure to have you on.
Well, thank you so much.
No, for sure. Absolutely. Everybody in the chat, thank you to my mods. Thank you, mods, for all your help as usual. I still say I think I have the best mods out there. They're fantastic. They're wonderful. They're very welcoming. They're on top of their game every single week. Thank you to this guy right over here, buddy. Thank you. Another one in the books.
I love this. I absolutely love doing these. These are so great. And I think every time we do these each and every week, I'm always looking forward to picking the next movie that we're going to watch this week. And these are always fun. These are always so much fun. And I'm looking forward to next week.
Me too. Until then, the only other thing I want to say, I know Dan's got some shows coming up this week. Be sure to check out his Disney Fiasco, Disney Food Fridays, Disney Nuts. And, of course, next week right here on his channel for Disney Movie Review as we review Tron. For me, Desanity on Tuesday night will be live, Melissa and I, at 8 o'clock. And next weekend we are at Magic Kingdom on Saturday. And, of course, Sunday's the big stream for our support of Pete McDevitt as I ride Tower of Terror. As of right now, I'll have to ride it twice. Yay.
If I was there, I'd ride it with you.
I've already got my plane ticket.
I wish you were telling the truth.
I'm there.
Oh my God, that'd be so much fun.
I do. If you don't mind, I do want to give a big. I want to send our love and prayers to our friend Pete McDevitt. Yes. I think I think as a lot of you may know, he's going through a really tough time at the moment, and we're doing all we can to support him and sending him our love. And we're using the hashtag Pete Strong. And dude, I know you're watching, and we love you and we miss you, and I hope you get well soon, buddy.
I agree. And if one of my mods could throw in the link to the GoFundMe for Pete, I'd appreciate it. We're well over 2,100 right now. We're on our way.
It's amazing.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Courtney, again, thank you, dear. Daniel,
thank you, Courtney.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Walt.
And everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye. Everybody.